The story of the end times has captivated hearts and minds for centuries. In every corner of the world, people of different faiths have speculated about what will unfold at the close of human history. For Muslims, these events are not just myths or dramatic predictions. They are real, rooted in the Quran and the authentic sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, and they form a vital part of our belief in the unseen. The emergence of the Dajjal, the arrival of the Mahdi, and the return of Isa or Jesus are not isolated events, but interwoven moments in a divinely orchestrated timeline that will lead to the Day of Judgment. Today we will explore the sequence of events as they have been described in Islamic tradition, from the early signs of moral decay and societal upheaval to the major cataclysms that will mark the end of the world. Along the way, we will take a deeper look at the figures of Dajjal and Mahdi, not as symbolic characters but as real individuals with specific roles and fates. We will follow the trials and victories of these times and try to understand what they mean for our own lives. It is important to approach this subject with both reverence and responsibility. These are not tales to entertain or frighten, but warnings and signs meant to awaken the soul. The Prophet himself often spoke of the end times in ways that urged preparation, sincerity, and steadfastness. There is a great deal of misinformation and speculation surrounding these topics today, so our goal here is to base everything on the most authentic and widely accepted Islamic sources, using language that speaks to both the heart and the intellect. The end of the world may feel distant, yet its signs are unfolding in ways that invite reflection. This is not just a story of destruction. It is a story of truth rising over falsehood, of mercy prevailing despite chaos, and of divine justice being fulfilled in its perfect time. In the end, it is not just a story of the world's final days, but of every soul's ultimate return to its Creator. The concept of the end times in Islam is not a fringe belief or a speculative curiosity. It is a fundamental part of the religion, deeply rooted in the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. From the earliest revelations, the Quran emphasized the certainty of the Day of Judgment and the eventual unraveling of this world. It described not only the final resurrection and divine judgment, but also the signs and events that would precede them. These teachings became known as Islamic eschatology, the branch of belief that deals with the ultimate destiny of humanity and the universe. Belief in the last day is one of the 6 pillars of faith in Islam. It is just as essential as belief in God, the angels, the prophets, the revealed books, and divine destiny. For a Muslim, to believe in the end times is to believe in accountability. Every action, every intention, every choice is recorded and will one day be judged with complete justice. The awareness of this coming judgment serves as a moral compass in the life of a believer, offering both hope and caution. The Prophet Muhammad spoke extensively about the signs that would lead up to the hour. These signs were not meant to satisfy curiosity about the future, but to offer guidance in how to live rightly before that future arrives. He distinguished between what came to be known as the minor signs and the major signs. The minor signs would unfold gradually, often blending into the flow of human history, while the major signs would be unmistakable and extraordinary, disrupting the natural order in ways that no one could deny. The Hadith collections, especially those of Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, contain numerous narrations about these signs. They describe societal changes, moral decay, natural disasters, and the emergence of key figures such as the Mahdi and the Dajjal. Some of these narrations are highly detailed, while others are brief and symbolic, requiring careful interpretation by scholars. Over the centuries, scholars have studied these texts not just to predict when the end might come, but to understand how these signs reflect broader spiritual realities and to help communities remain grounded in faith during times of confusion. The Quran itself addresses the final events more than once. It describes the moment when the trumpet will be blown and the entire creation will collapse. It recounts the gathering of souls for judgment, the weighing of deeds, the crossing of the bridge over hell, and the entry into paradise or hellfire. Yet the Quran also urges believers not to obsess over the timing of these events. It repeatedly states that knowledge of the hour belongs only to Allah. No one knows when it will come, not even the Prophet himself. What matters is not when it will happen, but whether one is prepared for it when it does. Throughout Islamic tradition, the end times are not portrayed as a chaotic collapse of reality for no purpose. They are part of a divine plan that unfolds with perfect wisdom. Each event, whether frightening or miraculous, serves to manifest the truth and to separate those who remain firm in faith from those who are lost in delusion. The trials of the end times are intense, but they are also moments of spiritual opportunity. They challenge believers to hold fast to their values, to avoid deception, and to find strength in their relationship with God. As we continue exploring the details of the end times, this foundation helps us understand that we are not simply looking at signs and events. We are looking at a moral and spiritual journey, a final test of faith and sincerity. Islamic eschatology is not only about the end of the world, but also about the ultimate fulfillment of divine justice and mercy. It brings every story, every soul, and every truth to its destined conclusion. The minor signs of the end times, though often less dramatic than the major ones, hold deep significance. They are like subtle cracks forming in a great structure, early warnings that the world is shifting towards something profound. The Prophet Muhammad spoke of these signs not to provoke fear or speculation, but to prepare the hearts of believers. They are meant to awaken us to the spiritual state of humanity and the world around us, and many of these signs are already visible today. The minor signs began appearing even during the time of the Prophet himself. His mission as the final messenger was itself a sign that the final hour was drawing near. He said that his coming and the hour were like two fingers held closely together, indicating how little time remained. From that point onward, the world entered a new phase, a long path moving gradually but steadily toward its appointed end. These signs are reflected in the slow unraveling of values, morals, and justice. The Prophet described a time when trust would be lost, when people would cheat and betray each other without shame. Honesty would become rare, and leaders would often be chosen not for their integrity or wisdom, but for their popularity, wealth, or cunning. People would compete in building tall structures not for need or shelter, but for pride and status. Knowledge would become widespread in terms of access, but its true meaning and understanding would diminish. Ignorance would rise, and scholars would be few. As time passed, people would care less about religion and more about worldly gain, and the deep spiritual connection to God would weaken across entire communities. Another sign that the Prophet mentioned was the increase in bloodshed. Killing would become so common that people would not even understand why it was happening. The killer would not know why he killed, and the one being killed would not know why he was targeted. Violence would spread, not as a reaction to injustice, but as a chaotic consequence of hearts that have grown hard and societies that have lost their sense of right and wrong. He also warned of the spread of immorality, where shame and modesty would fade. People would openly engage in actions that once were hidden and considered disgraceful. Relationships would be corrupted, families would break down, and the sense of community would deteriorate. Even the way people dress, speak, and interact would change in ways that reflect a deeper loss of spiritual and moral compass. The Prophet said that among the signs would be people who are clothed yet appear naked, flaunting themselves with no regard for decency. This decay would not only affect individuals but entire cultures, where what is false becomes celebrated and what is truthful becomes mocked. Economic imbalance and greed would also become widespread. The Prophet described a time when wealth would flow abundantly, but true contentment would be rare. People would chase after money without limits, forgetting the boundaries of fairness and ethics. Interest and usury would become so common that even those who try to avoid it would still be affected by its reach. Corruption would enter all levels of society, and those in positions of power would often use it to serve themselves rather than the people they are meant to protect. Another significant sign is the abandonment of the Quran and the Sunnah. People would recite the Quran beautifully, but its teachings would not reflect in their lives. The mosques would be full, but hearts would be empty. Religion would become a form, a shell, practiced outwardly but not lived inwardly. Spirituality would be replaced by ritual, and the true essence of faith would be buried under culture and habit. The prophet also spoke of natural signs. Time would feel shorter, perhaps not in hours and minutes, but in how quickly days, weeks, and years seemed to pass. Earthquakes would increase. Weather would behave strangely. The world would show signs of stress as human behavior continues to distance itself from divine harmony. These signs, though often subtle and gradual, are powerful reminders. They are not prophecies meant for passive observation. They are warnings for action. Each one calls the believer back to a higher awareness, to ask serious questions about the state of the soul and the choices being made. The presence of these signs does not mean one should despair or give up hope. On the contrary, they are a divine mercy, allowing people time to reflect, to return, and to prepare. In many ways, the minor signs are already part of our lived reality. They surround us in the headlines we read, the conversations we overhear, the challenges we witness in our families and societies. But they are not the end. They are the beginning of the final chapter, signaling that greater trials lie ahead. For those who pay attention, they offer a chance to strengthen faith, reconnect with purpose, and hold fast to truth before the tide of greater events arrives. The world in decline is not just a story of collapse. It is also a call to awaken, to rise, and to return to the light before it is too late. As the minor signs continue to unfold, the world begins to shift towards something even more extraordinary. What lies ahead is a series of events unlike anything humanity has ever seen. These are the major signs, unmistakable and awe-inspiring, and they mark the final moments before the day of judgment. Unlike the gradual decline of the minor signs, these major events will be global, direct, and impossible to ignore. They signal the beginning of a new and irreversible phase in human history, where spiritual realities will break into the physical world, and the unseen will become seen. The major signs are described in numerous hadiths, and the scholars of Islam have compiled them into a recognized sequence, though the exact order of some events remains uncertain. The Prophet Muhammad identified 10 such signs, calling them the great markers of the final hour. Once they begin, they will follow one after another like beads falling from a broken string. Their suddenness and intensity will leave no time for preparation if one has not already taken the earlier warnings seriously. The first of these major signs is the appearance of the Dajjal, a false messiah who will claim divinity and deceive masses through powerful illusions and control over worldly resources. He will travel the earth, spreading lies and corruption, and testing the faith of every believer. Closely tied to his story is the arrival of the Mahdi, a righteous leader from the descendants of the Prophet who will restore justice and lead the Muslims through a time of chaos. He will not bring a new religion, but he will renew the strength of the existing faith and prepare the world for what is to come. Then will come the return of Isa, the son of Maryam. He will descend from the heavens and take his place in the unfolding events. His mission will be to destroy the Dajjal and establish peace. He will affirm the truth of Islam and unite the people in the worship of the one true God. During his time, there will be a period of justice and harmony, but it will not last forever. Another great test will soon follow. Gog and Magog will be released, two wild and destructive forces that will flood the earth with chaos. Their numbers and ferocity will overwhelm every resistance, and even Isa and his followers will retreat to seek refuge. They will only be stopped by a divine intervention after Isa prays for their destruction. Once they are gone, the world will breathe again, but not for long. In the time after these monumental trials, the world will begin to close in on itself. A thick smoke will rise, covering the earth in a way that affects both the believer and the disbeliever. The Quran refers to this event as a punishment and a wake-up call for those who still resist the truth. Following this will be the emergence of a strange creature from the earth, a beast that will speak to the people and mark them based on their belief. It will be a final separation of hearts, a clear sign that time is nearly gone. Another extraordinary event will then unfold. The sun, which has always risen in the east, will rise from the west. This reversal of nature will shatter all scientific expectations and religious denials. It will be so profound that, according to the prophet, the doors of repentance will close once it happens. Those who have not turned back to God before that moment will find the opportunity gone. 3 massive landslides will strike the earth, each in a different region. One will occur in the east, one in the west, and one in the Arabian Peninsula. These collapses of land and civilization will further emphasize the breakdown of worldly stability and the nearing end of human life as we know it. The final sign will be a great fire that emerges from Yemen. It will drive people toward their final gathering place, pushing the last souls across the earth as the countdown reaches its last breath. This fire will not be just a natural phenomenon. It will move with purpose, guiding and hurting people, forcing them toward the place where the judgment will begin. These major signs are not scattered events without meaning. Each one is a message, a consequence, and a point of no return. When they arrive, the veil between the seen and the unseen will be lifted. Truth will stand clear, and doubt will vanish. But by that time, belief must already be firm. The window to return, to repent, to realign one's heart will have already begun to close long before the final curtain falls. What remains then is the conclusion of the divine story, where every soul meets its Lord and every truth is brought to light. Among the major signs of the end times, none is as fearsome, mysterious, and widely discussed as the emergence of the Dajjal. His arrival represents one of the greatest trials humanity will ever face, a fitna so intense that every prophet in history warned his people about it. The Prophet Muhammad gave the most detailed descriptions, repeatedly advising his companions to seek protection from this deception in their prayers. The Dajjal is not merely a tyrant or a corrupt leader. He is the embodiment of falsehood, illusion, and spiritual blindness. His very presence is designed to test the depth of one's belief, separating those who cling to truth from those easily swayed by appearances and desires. The word Dajjal itself means liar or deceiver. He is sometimes referred to as the false Messiah, and that title speaks volumes. He will not come declaring war against religion. He will come claiming to be its ultimate savior. He will present himself as a miracle worker, a man of peace, a provider, even a god. He will perform acts that seem supernatural, control the elements, manipulate reality, and fool masses into believing that he holds the power of life and death. To those who are weak in faith or unaware of the signs, his arrival will seem like the fulfillment of hope, but in truth, it will be the beginning of one of the darkest periods on earth. The prophet described him in vivid detail. He will be a young man, broad in build, with a ruddy complexion and curly hair. His most distinct physical feature will be his eye. One of his eyes will be deformed, bulging or damaged, and the other eye will be sharp and piercing. Between his eyes will be written the word kafir, meaning disbeliever. Every believer, regardless of literacy, will be able to read it, yet those who are spiritually blind will not recognize him for what he truly is. This distinction reflects the nature of his deception. It is not only physical, it is deeply spiritual. What he offers will look beautiful and powerful on the outside, but it will be hollow and destructive within. The Dajjal will not simply appear out of nowhere. His emergence will come at a time of great global turmoil. The earth will be filled with injustice, conflict, and despair. People will be looking for answers, yearning for a savior, and desperate for stability. Into this chaos he will rise, claiming to offer solutions. He will travel rapidly across the earth, reaching nearly every place except the holy cities of Mecca and Medina, which will be protected by angels. His path will be paved with false miracles. He will bring rain to parched lands and cause crops to grow. He will control food and water, distributing them to those who follow him and withholding them from those who reject him. In this way, he will gain influence not only through ideology, but through control of basic human needs. One of his greatest deceptions will be his ability to create illusions of paradise and hell. What seems like peace will be destruction, and what seems like fire will actually be safety for the soul. These tests are not only for individuals but for entire communities. The prophet warned that those who are confident in their faith should still fear the Dajjal, because his tricks are unlike anything anyone has seen. He will claim to resurrect the dead, but it will be a staged illusion. He will speak words that sound like truth, but they will be twisted with lies. This is why the Prophet taught us to seek refuge from the Dajjal in every prayer after the final tashahhud and before the salam. He instructed believers to recite the first 10 or last 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf each Friday as a protection. Surah Al-Kahf contains themes of trials, illusions, and the importance of divine guidance. Its message builds an inner resilience that can help protect against the seductive pull of the Dajjal's promises. The Dajjal will gather a vast following, not only among the weak or desperate, but also among those who were once considered strong. He will be followed by people of various backgrounds, including magicians, disbelievers, and those who have allowed their hearts to be led by arrogance or ambition. Yet he will also be rejected by many, and their rejection will cost them dearly. The suffering inflicted on those who oppose him will be severe, but this suffering, though painful, will be temporary. The reward for standing firm will be eternal. The length of the Dajjal's reign is described in the Hadith as being 40 days, but these are not normal days. The first day will be as long as a year, the second will be like a month, the third like a week, and the rest will be like normal days. The companions of the Prophet were so concerned by this that they asked whether people would still pray as normal on that first year-long day. The Prophet affirmed that prayer should still be offered at its appointed times, indicating how critical it is to hold to worship even when time itself feels distorted. The trial of the Dajjal will only come to an end with the return of Isa, the son of Maryam. According to authentic narrations, Isa will descend near a white minaret in the eastern part of Damascus, wearing 2 garments dyed with saffron, placing his hands on the wings of 2 angels. He will descend at a time when the Dajjal is causing immense harm. Isa will pursue him and ultimately confront him near the gates of Lud, in what is today occupied Palestine. Upon seeing Isa, the Dajjal will begin to dissolve, like salt melting in water. Isa will kill him, and with his death, the greatest fitna of the end times will come to a close. Even though the Dajjal will be defeated, the damage he leaves behind will not vanish overnight. His influence will linger in the minds of those who were shaken. The earth will need time to heal from the deception. But his fall will also mark a turning point, the beginning of a new chapter where truth will again rise. Isa, alongside the Mahdi, will help restore balance and justice to a broken world. The story of the Dajjal is not merely a tale of a villain and his downfall. It is a deep reflection of how truth and falsehood can become entangled in the hearts of people. His appearance is a mirror held up to the world, revealing what we value, what we believe, and what we are willing to sacrifice for comfort or power. The danger he represents is not just about him as a person, but about what he awakens in others. If faith is weak, his promises will be irresistible. If faith is strong, his tricks will be exposed. The lessons we draw from the Dajjal are not only for some future moment, they are for now. They remind us to build our connection to the Quran, to prioritize truth over appearance, to beware of leaders who exploit fear, and to always turn back to Allah in humility. The Dajjal will come with every tool of distraction and seduction, but he will not be able to touch the heart that is anchored in sincere belief. His power lies in illusion, but the believer's strength lies in clarity, in remembrance, and in trust that no matter how dark the trial, Allah's light is greater. In the shadow of rising turmoil and global unrest, when the world seems to have lost its moral compass and the believers feel overwhelmed by injustice, a man will rise who will be unlike any leader before him. He is known as the Mahdi, a title that means the guided one. His emergence will not be due to ambition or worldly desire, but by divine selection. He will not seek out power, yet he will be chosen to carry an immense burden at a critical moment in history. The Mahdi will be a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad through his daughter Fatima, and he will bear the name of the Prophet. His appearance marks the beginning of a period of divine realignment, when the broken state of the world begins to heal and truth starts to rise again. The Mahdi is not mentioned in the Quran by name, but his coming is described in numerous authentic hadiths, including those found in Sahih Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, and others. Scholars across generations have accepted the reality of his appearance as part of the major signs of the end times. Unlike Isa, who will descend from the heavens, the Mahdi will be born and raised among the people. He will be a man like other men, unaware of his destiny until the time arrives. He will live a normal life until one day, amid growing crises and disarray, people will recognize something in him that sets him apart. The world before his emergence will be marked by war, economic instability, corruption, and widespread injustice. In the midst of this, the Muslims will face tremendous difficulty, scattered in thought and divided in allegiance. It is in this chaos that the Mahdi will rise. According to the narrations, he will initially be reluctant to lead. He will even try to avoid being given such a role. But the people will recognize his piety, his wisdom, and his nobility, and they will insist that he lead them. Eventually, he will accept their pledge of allegiance at the Kaaba in Makkah. It is said that this pledge will happen between the Black Stone and the Maqam of Ibrahim, a moment filled with gravity and divine purpose. The Mahdi's rule will not be one of symbolism. He will take action to restore justice in practical ways. He will fill the earth with fairness as it had been filled with oppression. He will establish equity and wealth, reform social systems, and bring people back to the principles of Islam in their truest form. During his time, people will feel safe and provided for. He will distribute wealth generously without hoarding, and there will be such prosperity that those in need will be hard to find. He will not perform miracles like the Dajjal or Isa, but his leadership and sincerity will win the hearts of the people. Among the defining features of the Mahdi's time will be his military and spiritual victories. He will lead the Muslims in battles against forces of corruption and disbelief. One of the greatest battles will be against a tyrannical army that marches to attack him in Makkah. According to the Hadith, this army will be swallowed by the earth before it reaches the city, a sign of divine protection over the Mahdi and those with him. After this, his influence will spread, and more people will rally behind his cause. He will also play a crucial role in uniting the Muslim world, not just politically but spiritually, bringing the Ummah back to the center of its faith. One of the most significant events during his rule will be the arrival of Isa, the son of Maryam. The Mahdi will be leading the Muslims in prayer when Isa descends from the heavens. In a powerful moment of humility, the Mahdi will offer Isa the chance to lead the prayer, recognizing his elevated status as a prophet of Allah. But Isa will decline, insisting that the Mahdi lead, honoring the role that has been divinely assigned to him. This moment reflects the harmony and humility that will define their relationship, as well as the unity of belief between the followers of both men. The Mahdi's time will not last forever. Most narrations suggest that he will rule for 7 years, although some traditions mention a longer period. His reign will be marked by peace, reform, and revival, but it will also be a preparation for the greater trials to come. He will pass away during Isa's lifetime, and his death will be mourned by the believers. His mission will have been fulfilled, his example established, and his impact remembered. The coming of the Mahdi is a promise of hope in a time of despair. His life reminds us that even in the darkest moments, Allah does not abandon his servants. The Mahdi will not come to deliver a new message or introduce a new book. He will come to remind the world of what was already revealed and to live it with sincerity and power. His leadership will not rely on showmanship or control, but on truth and justice. In him, the world will see that divine guidance can still shape the human condition, and that righteousness, when upheld with courage and humility, can still change the course of history. The story of the Mahdi is not only about the future, it is also a reflection of what we should seek in ourselves and in those we choose to follow. His character, grounded in sincerity, mercy, and devotion, sets the standard for what true leadership means. He reminds us that spiritual renewal often begins quietly, with a heart purified by intention and a life rooted in truth. When the world feels lost, it will not be power or wealth that rescues it, but the return of divine guidance through a man whose only claim is that he was guided by God. The return of Isa, son of Maryam, is one of the most extraordinary and anticipated events in Islamic belief. His second coming is not just a powerful moment in the timeline of the end times, but also a fulfillment of divine promise and prophecy. His return marks the turning point in the struggle between truth and falsehood, a moment when divine justice intervenes directly in human affairs. While his first mission ended with rejection by many and an attempt on his life, his second will be marked by triumph and the restoration of truth. In the Islamic tradition, Isa was neither crucified nor killed. The Quran clearly states that he was raised up by Allah, and that it only appeared to people as if he had been crucified. This distinction is critical to the Islamic understanding of Isa. He is not a tragic figure who died at the hands of oppressors, but a beloved prophet who was protected and honored by God. His mission was not finished with his first appearance. Rather, it was paused, and he will return to complete it before the final hour arrives. When Isa returns, he will descend from the heavens, just as he was taken up. The Prophet Muhammad described his return in great detail. He will descend near a white minaret in the eastern part of Damascus, wearing 2 garments lightly dyed with saffron. His hands will rest on the wings of 2 angels, and his appearance will be unlike any other. His hair will appear moist as if droplets are falling from it, even though it is not wet. This descent will be witnessed, and it will signal to the believers that help has arrived. Isa will not return as a new messenger or bringer of a new scripture. He will come as a follower of the final prophet, Muhammad, and he will judge by the Quran and the Sunnah. His role will be to correct the distortions made in his name and to establish the truth of God's oneness. One of the first things he will do is break the cross, destroy the symbols of false worship, and end the confusion that surrounded his identity. He will declare to the world that he is not the Son of God, but a servant and messenger of the Almighty. This will end centuries of misguidance and division. One of Isa's greatest tasks will be the defeat of the Dajjal. By the time Isa descends, the Dajjal will be spreading his deception widely, leading many people astray. The confrontation between them will not be a battle in the conventional sense. It will be the triumph of divine light over darkness. According to the Prophet, when the Dajjal sees Isa, he will begin to melt, like salt dissolving in water. Isa will chase him and catch him at the gate of Lud, where he will kill him with a spear. This act will not only destroy the Dajjal, but will also break the spell he cast over humanity. The deception will be lifted, and the world will see clearly once again. After the defeat of the Dajjal, Isa will lead a period of peace and justice unlike anything the world has known. He will rule with fairness, remove tyranny, and revive the pure teachings of Islam. During his time, wealth will become abundant, and people will no longer be obsessed with materialism. There will be no jealousy or hatred among people, and the earth will yield its blessings. Even the natural world will respond to this time of harmony. Animals will no longer harm one another, and people will live in safety and comfort. Isa will also perform the pilgrimage to Mecca and Medina, living as a humble servant of God. Though he will have great power and influence, he will remain devoted and humble, praying behind the Mahdi and affirming the leadership of the Muslim community. This humility will be a powerful lesson for humanity, a reminder that true greatness lies in servitude to God and not in worldly dominance. Another monumental event during Isa's time will be the emergence of Gog and Magog. These wild and destructive forces will spread chaos and destruction across the earth. Isa and the believers will seek refuge on a mountain, praying for deliverance. Allah will respond to their prayers by sending a disease that will wipe out Gog and Magog completely. The world will once again find peace, and Isa will lead the people in cleansing the earth from the aftermath of that devastation. Eventually, Isa will live out the rest of his life in peace. He will marry, have a family, and remain among the people as a just and righteous leader. He will not live forever, and when his time comes, he will die a natural death. His passing will be mourned, but his legacy will live on. According to some narrations, he will be buried in Medina beside the Prophet Muhammad, in a space that has remained reserved. The return of Isa is not merely an event in history to come. It is a profound symbol of the continuity of divine guidance and the unity of all the prophets. It connects the story of past revelations with the final message of Islam and reminds humanity that truth is not lost, even when it seems forgotten. His return will correct misunderstandings, restore faith, and remind the world that the final judgment is near. Isa's presence among the people will serve as a final invitation to believe. Those who were confused or hesitant will see the truth made plain, but the time for belief without cost will have passed. What remains after his mission is the approach of the final hour, when every soul will be called to account. Until then, Isa's time on earth will be a period of unmatched clarity, where the path is clear, the lies are defeated, and the light of God shines without obstruction. Among the final and terrifying events that will unfold before the Day of Judgment is the release of Gog and Magog, known in Arabic as Ya'juj and Ma'juj. These two names have long carried an air of fear and mystery. They are not just symbolic of chaos and disorder, but are real beings who will emerge in overwhelming numbers, bringing destruction on a scale that the world has never seen. Their story is rooted in the Quran and the Hadith, and their emergence will mark one of the final signs before the end of time. The Quran mentions Gog and Magog in the story of Dhul Qarnayn, a righteous and powerful king who traveled to distant lands and encountered various peoples. In one region, he came across a community that pleaded with him to help protect them from the destructive forces of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, who repeatedly caused havoc and devastation. In response, Dhul Qarnayn built a massive barrier of iron and molten copper between two mountains, sealing Gog and Magog behind it. This barrier has held them back ever since, and their release is postponed until the appointed time. When the end draws near, this barrier will be broken by the will of Allah. The release of Gog and Magog will come after the defeat of the Dajjal and during the time of Isa, the son of Maryam. Their sudden appearance will be overwhelming. The Prophet Muhammad described their numbers as vast, saying that when they emerge, they will rush down from every slope and drink up rivers, leaving nothing behind. They will spread rapidly across the earth, destroying everything in their path. Their chaos will not be the result of ideology or conquest, but of blind destruction. They will ravage lands, overpower armies, and leave behind only ruin. Isa and the believers will be unable to fight them through any normal means. Instead, they will retreat to the mountains for safety. The Prophet described that Isa and his followers would be so distressed by their presence that they would pray fervently to Allah for deliverance. These prayers will be answered. Allah will send a special type of worm or disease that will infect Gog and Magog, causing them to die suddenly and simultaneously. Their bodies will pile up and cause a stench that fills the earth. Once again, Isa will pray, and this time Allah will send birds with necks like camels to carry away their corpses and cleanse the earth. Rain will fall to wash the land clean, preparing it for a new period of peace. The story of Gog and Magog is not only about physical destruction, but also about spiritual and societal vulnerability. Their emergence reflects what happens when unchecked chaos is unleashed upon a world already weakened by disbelief and moral collapse. Their overwhelming numbers and blind force show how helpless humanity becomes when divine protection is withdrawn. They are a reminder that the strength of the human race is limited and that ultimate security comes only from Allah. Even though their presence will be brief compared to other events in the end times, their impact will be profound. Their destruction will not mark the end of all trials, but it will remove one of the final forces of global devastation. What follows will be a time of recovery and brief calm under the leadership of Isa, but it will also be a sign that the world is nearing its conclusion. Gog and Magog are not to be taken as legends or distant myths. They are a promised reality and part of the divine plan that leads to the final reckoning. Their story reminds us that all power belongs to Allah alone, and that even the mightiest forces cannot stand without His permission. After the defeat of Gog and Magog and the period of peace under the leadership of Isa, the world will begin to shift once again. The quiet that follows will not last. The final signs will begin to appear, each one drawing humanity closer to the ultimate moment. These are not events that bring dramatic battles or global upheaval like those before them, but they are just as powerful in meaning. They signal that the window of mercy is closing and that the time for reckoning is almost here. One of these signs is the appearance of a thick smoke that will spread across the earth. This smoke will be a punishment and a warning, affecting both believers and disbelievers. It will cause sickness and distress and will be impossible to ignore. The Quran speaks of this smoke in clear terms, describing it as a painful torment for those who continued to deny the truth. It will be a reminder that the world is no longer in its natural state. The protection and patience that had been extended for so long are beginning to lift. Another sign is the emergence of the beast of the earth. This creature will come out and speak to people, marking them based on their belief. It will distinguish clearly between the faithful and the disbelievers, removing all pretense and ambiguity. The time for debate and choice will have passed. The truth will be visible, but the ability to act on it will no longer remain. The beast will serve as a living proof of the reality that had been denied for so long. Then will come the moment that changes the natural order completely. The sun will rise from the west. This reversal of the world's rhythm will be so shocking that it will shake the very foundation of belief. At that moment, repentance will no longer be accepted. The door to forgiveness will close. People will try to turn back, but it will be too late. As the final signs unfold, the earth will also experience massive landslides, one in the east, one in the west, and one in Arabia. These shifts in the land reflect the unraveling of the world's structure. Soon after, a fire will rise from the land of Yemen, driving people toward their final gathering. All of humanity will be pushed to the place where judgment will begin. The end is no longer near. It has arrived. When the final signs have passed and the last moments of the world have unfolded, a great silence will fall. The trumpet will be blown by the angel Israfil, and with that single sound, everything in the heavens and the earth will collapse. All life will cease. Mountains will crumble, the seas will boil, and the sky will be torn apart. Everything that once held structure and balance will dissolve. Only what Allah wills to remain will endure. After a period known only to Him, the trumpet will be blown a second time. This will be the call of resurrection, the moment when all of creation is brought back to life for the day of judgment. Humanity will rise from their graves, barefoot, naked, and uncircumcised. Every soul, from the beginning of time to the end, will be gathered on a vast, level plain. The sun will be brought close, and the heat will cause people to sweat according to the weight of their deeds. Some will sweat up to their ankles, others to their knees, and some will be submerged entirely. It will be a day of fear and awe, when even the prophets will say, "Myself, myself," each concerned about their own fate. Yet there will also be those who are shaded by Allah's mercy, honored because of their sincerity, justice, and humility. Each person will be given their book of deeds. Those who receive it in their right hand will rejoice, knowing they are among the saved. Those who receive it in their left hand or behind their back will fall into despair. Every deed, no matter how small, will be accounted for. The scales will be set, and justice will be perfect. No one will be wronged. Witnesses will testify, including the earth itself, which will speak of what took place upon it. A bridge will be placed over the hellfire called the Sirat. It will be thinner than a hair and sharper than a sword. Every soul must cross it. Some will pass with ease, like a blink of an eye. Others will struggle and stumble. For those whose faith and deeds were sound, the crossing will end in light. Beyond the bridge lies the final destination. Paradise awaits those who live for truth, and hell awaits those who denied it. The reckoning is complete, and every soul will finally meet its eternal home. The stories of the end times are not told to entertain or to frighten, but to awaken the heart. They are reminders of what truly matters and what the journey of life is ultimately about. As the signs of the final hour unfold in our world and in our personal lives, the most important question becomes not when these events will happen, but how we are preparing our souls to meet them. The purpose of knowing about the Dajjal, the Mahdi, Isa, and the Day of Judgment is not to speculate or argue, but to return to sincerity and truth. In a world filled with distraction and confusion, the call to faith becomes even more urgent. The signs are not far away. Many of them are already here. Injustice is widespread. Deception is praised. Faith is often mocked. These are not coincidences. They are part of the unfolding reality that the prophet spoke about with precision. But in these challenges, there is also great opportunity. Every difficulty is a test, and every test is a chance to rise. What we do now matters more than ever. True preparation begins with turning back to Allah. It means asking for forgiveness sincerely and often. It means praying with attention, not just form. It means learning and understanding the Quran with the heart, not just the tongue. It means standing for justice even when it is hard and holding on to truth even when it is unpopular. It means protecting the soul from arrogance, greed, and falsehood. This is not a path for perfect people. It is a path for those who try, who struggle, who fall but keep returning. The prophet taught that even a small act of good, done sincerely, can tip the scales on the day of judgment. In a time when darkness seems to spread quickly, even a little light can make a difference. Being kind, being honest, helping others, guarding the eyes and the tongue, remembering Allah in quiet moments, all of these are ways to prepare. The end of time will come. It may be soon, or it may be far, but the end of our own time is always near. What we do now will echo in eternity. Let it be something we are proud to carry into that meeting with our Lord. The story of the end times is not only a tale of warnings and consequences, it is, at its core, a reflection of the mercy and justice of Allah. Every sign, every event, every trial is part of a divine design that offers people the chance to return, to correct their course, and to seek what truly matters. Allah does not rush to punish. He sends reminders, opens doors, and grants time. The unfolding of the end is not abrupt or cruel. It is measured, purposeful, and filled with moments where mercy is offered again and again. Even in the most terrifying signs, there is the chance to turn back. Before the sun rises from the west, repentance is still accepted. Before the Dajjal appears, there is time to seek protection. Before the final trumpet is blown, there are countless moments to build a relationship with the Creator. These moments are not guaranteed, but they are generously given. And for those who take them seriously, the promise of reward is beyond imagination. The justice of Allah is complete. No soul will be wronged. Every deed will be weighed fairly. Every tear, every effort, every sincere prayer will be seen and remembered. Those who were oppressed will be lifted. Those who were patient will be honored. And those who denied the truth despite knowing it will face what they earned. There will be no injustice, no confusion, and no escape from the reality of that day. In the end, this is not just a story about how the world ends. It is a story about returning to the one who created us. It is a reminder that the end is not the end, but the beginning of something far greater. What awaits us is not just fear, but hope, for the mercy of Allah always surrounds those who seek Him.